Hello everyone, Rakoska here, bringing you a best of 3 between these players. EGIdra spawning as the Red Zerg here on MLG's Daybreak, and his opponent's FXOz, or FXOz, or FXOZ. One of the two. He's down here as the Blue Protoss in the lower left corner, and this was taken from the Intel Extreme Masters Cup. And let's get this game underway. Got a nice exciting ZvP series here coming up, and it looks to be a good one. I do like watching Idra play a lot of his games, and a lot of people give him a lot of crap for what he does, but you know, he's actually a really good player, and he does quite a bit of nifty gameplay. And we have a really nice forward pylon here coming from Oz, and it looks like he's going to be throwing down a forge, possibly doing a kind of an expand first build, which is pretty strong on this map. He doesn't have a lot of contention. I mean, he just has to keep this area safe and keep stuff from going up this ramp, which he should be able to, you know, put a forge here, and maybe wall this off here, so he can just keep using the units right around here. But it'll be interesting to see how he walls off. And let's see, Idra's base. He looks like he's just content to drone up. Looks like he's probably going to be throwing down a hatch first as well, just to make sure his opponent's not cheesing him or, you know, doing some kind of fast unit build just to throw him a wrench in his system right here at the beginning. Looks like both players are going to pretty high supplies though before they build any kind of buildings or any kind of additional structures. And it looks like Idra is going to throw down that spawning pool first, which will allow Oz to hopefully get a forge up and get some cannons up in time. But it doesn't look like he's scouted his opponent yet. If we look at his cam, I mean, he knows where Idra is just because there's only two really places you can be on this map. But he actually doesn't know anything about what Idra's building, so he is kind of going blindly in this Nexus first build. And hopefully it doesn't come back to bite him in the ass. You know, if Idra does pull this one off pretty good, he can do quite a bit of damage with those initial Zerglings. Other than that, he's just going, you know, getting that fast queen, and there is that hatchery going down right now. And it looks like FXO is, or Oz is putting down that forge, and it looks like the Zerglings are going to have to run around and come in the back way. And with throwing down a gateway right away, getting a nice secure wall off right away. And he's going to go for the third building right... Oh, another pylon there. No, not quite. It's throwing me off a little bit, but it looks like he does have enough space here. He can wall this off here, or kind of just leave this open as a small choke point for those Zerglings to come running in. Either way, now that forge is finished, and we'll see, there goes the first cannon here, making that choke point even smaller. And he's going to throw down a second cannon right away once he gets to 150 minerals. Yeah. Oh, no, with gateway. And it looks like, yes, this is a solid wall off here. And Idra's Overlord comes on, pouncing on through, and he definitely knows about this. And I wonder if Idra's going to decide to take another quick base, or if he's going to be going for, you know, just content on sitting on what he's got here. He definitely knows his opponent doesn't have much out in the way, just the one cannon here for protection. And then it looks like he did throw out that probe. Is going to do some scouting and get some information here. Nice little drone transfer coming down. And it looks like this queen's getting ready to do another larva inject as he's getting close to that 25 energy. Meanwhile, Idra is content on just droning up. Doesn't really have much in the way of just a couple Zerglings here and here on the map. And it looks like that probe is hiding way down here in the bottom. Looks like he's going to be throwing down some shenanigans here. And it looks like both gateways are content to just pump out units as fast as possible. Hopefully he doesn't have anything sneaking into the back of his bases. It's going to be hard for him to get his army back to this side if everything's out here in the front. But it looks like those zealots are being chrono boosted out and rallied to the front. And it looks like they are headed right to that watchtower. Sneaks by, doesn't see anything, and it looks like he's going to be heading out. And it doesn't look like the Zergling is going to get to that watchtower in time. And it's going to be close. Oh, he's going to get to that watchtower and know about those two zealots moving out across the map. And Idra should have plenty of time to get units built to counteract these two zealots. And it looks like that Zergling is content to chase down, and it looks like, oh, the Zergling barely doesn't get any damage taken to it. And it looks like another zealot is now headed up into the base. 14 Zerglings on the way. Idra should have no problems dealing with this, as it looks like that zealot is forced to retreat as the queen does quite a bit of damage against it. It looks like that third base is now finished, and it looks like, oh, we have a cannon rush on the third base coming from Oz, as it looks like those zealots are content to do as much damage as possible to this third base. And it looks like that Zergling wants to get that probe. No, doesn't quite get that probe. And it looks like this cannon will finish in time, but there's 14 Zerglings on their way down, and he's going to have to use those zealots to kind of hold this cannon back. If you get this cannon built in time, he's going to be able to do some serious damage. Another pylon going down this time. And it looks like this cannon is just about finished, and that cannon is going to start doing some serious damage on those Zerglings. There it goes. Oh, and it looks like he's target firing down the queen. He doesn't don't think he's going to get enough damage done to get that queen done. It looks like now he's going for the Zerglings. Doesn't quite get those Zerglings down. Another cannon is coming on its way up, but it looks like this cannon is going to be half dead before it even finishes. Now going against those Zerglings, that cannon's only going to get about 2 kills, and then it's taken out. And now this pylon looks like it's going to be taken out. So EGIdra looking very secure. 54 supply and with this third base. And it looks like Oz did lose all those zealots and those cannons and cannon rushes. I mean, that's a definite... I mean, that's a good 400 minerals plus those 3 zealots. That's a good 700 minerals down the tube. And it looks like he's going to have to just throw down a sneaky pylon right here. And it looks like the Zerglings are headed for the front of the base. And no. Yes, maybe. Wow. Nope, just content to patrol around. Maybe look for a third base. Make sure there's nothing chilling up there. Other than that, if we look down here in the base, we do have a robotics facility coming up. Warp gate is being researched. 2 more gateways on the way. And that warp gate is just about finished. +1 is now finished. He probably would have done a lot more damage with those zealots had +1 been finished a little earlier. But with just a 1 cannon here, I mean, these Zerglings are... Ooh, loses a Zergling prematurely. And it looks like he's going in for another pylon kind of pressure, but it looks like EGIdra should be able to have some units out in time. Queen is coming forward to not lay a creep tumor. It's just going to kind of... Oh, look at these pylons going down. I mean, look at this. 3 pylons already going down. Looks like Oz is getting ready to do some serious warp in action with all these pylons here. And it looks like he is going to lose this pylon down here as those Zerglings do come in. 4 zealots, though, will come up, and it looks like he's content to leave that pylon go. And with this spine crawler about finished, he's going to be able to do quite a bit of damage here. And needs to get that queen targeted down. And it looks like he is going to use those zealots to try to take down that spine crawler before it finishes building. Is he going to? Yes, he manages to get that. Now zealots working away on those Zerglings. Zealots able to take out Zerglings in 2 hits, so he is taking those down quite a bit. Now it looks like with just a 1 roach here, but more zealots are streaming in. And it looks like 4 roaches are out as well as the queen, but the queen's on very low life. The queen gets taken out, and it looks like there's just the 2 roaches on 3 zealots. And the 1 zealot is causing a lot of damage, but 2 more roaches are on their way down, and these zealots are able to do more damage to the roaches than the roaches can do to the zealots. Unfortunately, EGIdra needs to get those roaches some micro action, but they are now off a creep, so they are definitely much slower. And with a little bit of micro, does lose a roach, does lose another roach, and these zealots are definitely starting to pay off as he is able to harass that base quite a bit. This 1 zealot is just going to town here. EGIdra doing some nice micro, throws that drone into a hatch or an extractor to save its life. And I mean, he's going to need the gas anyway. Might as well get it done. And it looks like that gave Oz enough time to get this base up, using these sentries here to do a nice little surround wall of. 2 more roaches on the way, as well as getting roach speed, and lots more Zerglings coming out. It looks like we're going to be seeing some kind of a Zergling roach timing, and no, getting a Spire instead. 104 to 193 supply right now. Immortals on the way, as well as getting that Protoss ground weapons level 2, which is going to make those Immortals really strong. And it looks like he did manage to take out that pylon that was right here, so we should be able to get units in and out now. And that +2 is going to give him quite a bit of damage. And it looks like, where is that army? It looks like most of that army is rallied up here to the top. He wants to try to keep this third base up as long as possible, using these gateways to kind of wall it off, and throwing up some more photon cannons and getting another pylon so he doesn't get Artosis pyloned out. And it looks like those Zerglings are getting ready to hit the front here. He's got this, this channel open right here, but it looks like, no, this wall off is going to be up and secure, but no, the cannon's not built in time, which means these Zerglings are doing quite a bit of damage, and now in comes the roaches, and it looks like he might lose this middle gateway here. No, not quite. Looks like he does chase that army away, taking quite a bit of damage here on these gateways. It looks like this gateway for sure is taking quite a bit of damage, and this gateway here not quite so much. And it looks like those roaches are moving forward. Gets a nice force field on those roaches. Those roaches can't go anywhere, and it looks like he has nothing left to do but to push his way forward now. It does take out that middle gateway, but losing a lot of roaches here in the process as those really strong force fields, keeping that from retreating, and does manage to take that out. Only losing the 1 gateway in the process. 9 mutas on the way. That's going to seal the deal, folks. That's going to do some serious harassment damage. Keeping this army back home as much as possible. That'll give EGIdra enough time to get this 4th base up, take a 5th base, but with this pylon down here, I mean, he is going to be able to harass this base quite a bit. Looks like we do have that Protoss army moving out into the middle of the map. 146 to 126 right now. 12 mutas on the way, and we've got Zerglings running around getting some patrol action done. And I mean, I gotta say, these Mutalisks are going to be able to do quite a bit of damage. This army is not that fast, and it looks like this 1 Zergling is going to be the Scout Zergling going in on that Stalker, but the Stalker does manage to take it out. But it looks like EGIdra wants that Stalker as much as possible. He's going to use this. Oh, gets a nice blink there. Manages to save that Stalker. Now Zerglings coming in. Where are those mutas? The mutas are There they are, floating around. Here come the mutas. They're going to be able to clean up quite a bit of this army. I mean, but with these sentries, he is going to lose a lot of that sentry energy. But no! Perfect time to warp in all those stalkers now. Mutalisk focusing down those sentries as best as possible. It looks like a lot of those sentries are getting taken out. And a lot of those Zerglings are able to get in there and doing as much damage as possible, using some decent blink micro to keep those all alive as long as possible, and is forced to retreat with a lot of those mutas, but Oz did lose a lot of those sentries. That was a lot of gas commitment to lose. And it looks like we have another round of Zerglings. They are going to be putting pressure back in on this base with just the one cannon here. He should be able to... No. Looks like he wants to go for the fourth base of Oz, and manages to take it down and gets out of there with a few Zerglings left alive. Excuse me. Sitting in a very uncomfortable position right now, sitting at 135 supply. EGIdra just has a very mobile army, 180 to 149. But it looks like Oz doesn't care. He's going in for the throat. He wants to come right here into the natural. Does manage to take out a Zergling there. Wants to get up this ramp as quick as possible so he's not forced into a choke. EGIdra's got a lot of Zerglings coming up, which is actually a very good army composition against this unit composition. I mean, he's able to get a nice surround here, but Oz is warping in more units. But I don't know. I think Oz is going to be taken out here. I mean, EGIdra's just backing him into a corner, and these Zerglings are just not dying as fast as Oz would like. And it looks like a lot of those stalkers blinking down to the low ground and retreating out of there as fast as possible. Looks like EGIdra comes out ahead 148 to 103. Both players losing about the same, but EGIdra just has the ability to lose more with as many bases as he's on. Oz, meanwhile, picking off a few overlords that are left out and about, but again, these Zerglings are getting in on these stalkers. One stalker gets taken down, two stalkers get taken down, three stalkers get taken down, and that fourth stalker gets taken down. Oz not left with much of a standing army. I mean, we look at the units tab, he's got 81 probes and 12 stalkers. I mean, EGIdra has 13 Mutalisks and 37 Zerglings. He could go in for the kill right now. I mean, he's got him basically by the throat. He just ended EGIdra. Looks like he did manage to take out that... Oh, does he spot that? No, doesn't quite spot that observer. Just manages to sneak away. And it looks like Oz does know that these Mutalisks are on the map, getting some cannons thrown up in his main. More gateways on the way, and it looks like he's getting this all set up. He wants to get a nice, good defense going on. EGIdra doing a nice job keeping these bases from getting any kind of saturation. He's got this base pretty much blocked with units. These bases blocked with creep. I mean, there's not even a base up here, but he's got creep up there to see what's going on. And here comes a big push from EGIdra. 184 supply with the units coming right into the natural. Oh, look at that. Gets all those Zerglings into the natural. Cannons going down. Mutalisks getting a nice surround on those stalkers. Able to do quite a bit of damage. Huge blink in of stalkers right there. It looks like there's just too many Zerglings here as they're getting just taken out. Sees that Templar Archives. Relatively unguarded. There's the blink forward to trying to chase those Mutalisks away. Takes down a pylon, so any kind of research being done isn't happening. But it looks like the storm hasn't even been researched yet. Those Mutalisks are still around, causing quite a bit of damage. Oh, but it looks like EGIdra with a little bit of miscontrol on those Mutalisks does manage to lose quite a bit of them, just going for a few probes. Oz doing a nice job blinking forward to take out, and I think Oz ended up coming out a little bit further ahead in that engagement. Now we've got 128 to 180 supply, so EGIdra's still doing very nice with supply. Looks like it's mostly Zerglings, so getting another base built up. And it looks like we do have a Zealot coming in to do some harassment, but no, that Zealot easily taken out by these Spine Crawlers. EGIdra even doing a nice job. I like how he puts that Spore Crawler there just in case a DT decides to come run through. Zerg upgrades not doing as well as I thought. I'd like to see EGIdra with a little bit more upgrades just to match Oz, but we do have a lot of Zerglings here getting in on the Stalker action here. And it looks like Zergling Mutalisk is a nice way to take down a lot of these Stalkers, as he just can't blink back fast enough. These Zerglings are doing quite a bit of damage, but it looks like the Stalker army is just managing to just chew through all these Mutalisks and Zerglings. And EGIdra forced to retreat 165 to 128. A huge warping down of Zealots and Stalkers down here in the bottom. And it looks like Oz is going to be going for some kind of two-way pressure or just to harass this base. Archon being morphed in. That's going to do some serious damage right there. But with these 5 Spine Crawlers, it is going to slow down the army quite a bit. And it looks like here comes EGIdra's response. All these Zerglings. If he can get a nice surround here, I'd just like to see EGIdra get some more powerful units than these, you know, what he's got. He loses all those Spine Crawlers, and he hasn't found a way to take down this army yet. Warp Prism coming in, and here comes the Zergling surround, getting some serious damage done, but I mean, I just think with this Blink Micro, these Zerglings are just not going to cut it. He needs to be able to do more damage. This Infestor's getting in there, getting some fungal action going on. Another Infestor comes up, but the Infestor You got to get out of there, buddy. You're going to get taken out. This infestor's worse for the wear. Gets taken out as well. And it looks like he's just morphing in high Templars for Archons, not even bothering to transform. And IEGIdra starting to find himself in a very bad position here, as Oz is just charging forward with these Archons and Stalkers. And I mean, IEGIdra's Zergling force just isn't enough to deal with this. I mean, Zerglings are cool and all, but Archons are just melting them. And there's the GG. IEGIdra loses this one 0-1. And let's move on to game number 2. Alright everyone, welcome back to game 2 in this PvZ series between EGIdra spawning as the red Zerg on the left side of dual site here, and his opponent's FXOz spawning as the blue Protoss here on the right side of dual site. Now we just watched an interesting game with IEGIdra versus Oz earlier, where IEGIdra basically stayed on Zergling Mutalisk, and Oz just had Stalker and, you know, good Zealot army, and with superior upgrades he was just able to beat IEGIdra down. I mean, IEGIdra's Zerglings just did not do enough damage to Oz's army to actually keep him pinned down, and I mean, Oz was able to capitalize and take the victory on that game. So let's hope IEGIdra learns from his mistakes, maybe gets a little upgrades a little bit sooner, kind of sticks down one path. You know, I mean, we saw him start in on those roaches and then immediately switch tech after he got about 6 or 7 roaches out, and then just kept on that Zergling Mutalisk, I think, for way too long. He needed to get Infestors out sooner, needed to get maybe Ultralisks out faster. I mean, he was sitting on 5 bases. He had the money, he had the time, he just couldn't pull it off, that victory. So let's get this game underway and see what IEGIdra can come back and take this victory. Oz with a very fast scout here. I mean, he really wants to know what's going on with IEGIdra. I mean, I would suppose, though, being on this base, I mean, he is a little bit more wide open than he was the last game. I mean, he can get attacked here, he can get attacked through here. So it's definitely a little bit more, a little bit trickier to keep this base as secure. So if IEGIdra wanted to pull off some early spawning pool action, it looks like the little bit of probe drone harassment going on. Looks like he wants to try to get some damage in and just kind of poke around, just kind of irritate IEGIdra, maybe throw him off his game, make him forget a Overlord or something like that. You never know what's going on. But you always got to be careful when you do micro like that. If you aren't paying attention to what's going on in your base, you easily fall behind. But it looks like Oz is content in going hatch first again right away. Wants to get those minerals in his probe's mouth while he gets that. There it goes. Nexus thrown down. And it looks like that probe is going to hang out to get that forge built right away as well. And IEGIdra's not really seeing what's going on, but we do have some interesting drone on probe action here. Wants to manages to get that base built, and it looks like Oz was able to delay that just ever so slightly. And it looks like those links are being built. It would have been nice to see him throw down a pylon, but I guess he just couldn't afford it as he's trying to get this base secure at home. Pylon on the high ground being built as well. He could possibly throw it on the cannon right here, keep that nice and secure. But it looks like he's going to be content to just kind of wall this off, make those links run through the mineral line to get into any kind of the base. And I believe these buildings are nice and tight, and he won't be able to get anything snuck through this little channel right here. But there may possibly, yep, looks like there was a space, and he's going to wall that off with a cannon. Only one Zergling at a time is going to be able to hit that cannon, so he's pretty safe for now. And IEGIdra's getting some nice Overlord placement. He's going to be able to see everything that's going on in this base. Knows what he's going up against, and he should be able to get some nice defenses against that as well. And it looks like he's just getting some more minerals. That probe's kind of hungry. Double gas going up right away, getting to get that the higher tech units up. Wants to get those gateways up, the cyber cores up, get all those units built. And nice placement on that cyber core. Keeps everything from running up into the base. I mean, these units are literally going to have to come running nice and tight into the base. And I mean, that's going to take some work for IEGIdra to get those Zerglings in there, but it looks like IEGIdra's quite content just getting his mineral, his economy going, taking a very fast third base. This is going to help him out in the long run quite a bit. And it looks like Oz is getting content to go up here and get his pylon on again, as we saw earlier in that game. But it looks like he's not going to know about this third base for possibly a while unless that probe gets down there. Which he might want to know about that right away, is, I mean, Zerg on 3 base can be a little tricky to deal with. And it looks like we do just have a couple Zerglings moving around. He's going to want to get those Zerglings to kill that probe before he gets too close to, gets into the main with that probe. That probe is definitely seeing everything he's going to. Yeah, I'm sorry, Mr. Probe, but your lifespan is next to nil. And here comes your Doom Zerglings right now, and it looks like the probe, running away as fast as possible, wants to stay off the creep so he can kind of, almost jukes those Zerglings, but it looks like, no, he is going to be content to being destroyed in the main. No, quite. Get it. Oh, got it right there. And just a little bit. Yeah, there he goes. Gets that one taken down. And that third base is now up and running. And Oz is going for 2 more gateways, and I like the way he just walls everything off. Kind of makes it hard for the Zerg to do anything of a run by in the base. And it looks like we have another probe heading down to, he's going to spot that 3rd base, and there's a lot of Zerglings on the map. And it looks like he knows about it. Is he going to get there in time? Yes, it looks like those Zerglings are able to find that probe, and it looks like they will be able to pick that off. Just Oz is not having any luck with the scouting probes right now. And if we look, yeah, he has no idea that that base is up, and he's going to be losing that pylon as well. So hopefully he gets that canceled at the last minute. EGIdra going for those roaches again right away, as he knows Oz is sitting pretty heavily on just that Zergling tech as the Cyber Core, or the Zealot tech as the Cyber Core just about finished now. Didn't want to use any extra of that Chrono Boost now. Warp Gate's now being thrown down. It looks like he is going to be throwing down the typical sentries like he did before, but it looks like those Zerglings... Oh, and it looks like he did spot that base. Another probe, another pylon. EGIdra's just having pylons like crazy going up in his base, and it looks like here's that 3 Zealot cannon rush we're going to see again. It looks like there, yep, there it is. There's that cannon. Like to see him throw down another cannon right away. We do have some sentries warping in this time. Now, we didn't see that last time with the sentries, so he should be able to keep these cannons alive just a little bit longer, but there's going to be a lot of poking with those roaches. And it looks like Spinecrawler's now coming over here to deal with this. And it looks like he wants to try to keep those units alive as long as possible. Now, Queen's coming over. Oh, just manages to miss that Queen now. It looks like Zerglings are able to take out 1 sentry. Zerglings able to take out 2 sentry. Oh, just barely with some micro. And it looks like the Zealots are forcing those roaches back, but there's a lot of roaches here for EGIdra, as that cannon is doing quite a bit of damage now. Takes out that one and does manage to cancel that Spinecrawler. Does cancel that, get that cannon killed, and gets that pylon killed, and that Zealot's short for this world. Now EGIdra sitting comfortable with a ton of roaches here, +1 and +2 in blink, excuse me. And we've got a Dark Shrine on the way. EGIdra now doing a very nice job getting these pylons all cleared up. Doesn't want any of those pesky back-end warpings going on. And with this many roaches heading up here, I mean, Oz is going to have to get a lot of units built up if he's going to keep this alive. I mean, EGIdra just has a huge army right now. Nice little force field there, but I mean, with this many roaches, this cannon's toast, and this gone. And it looks like these roaches, oh, and a little force field action going on, but it looks like the roaches are just content to blow up whatever they can now, firing in on a gateway. And it looks like the roach is just barely able to hit that sentry. Doesn't quite... Oh, manages to take out that sentry now. And it looks like the roaches are being pinned back by these stalkers. But there goes the gateway, which means this hole has been busted now. So many roaches here. Now those stalkers are getting taken out. And stalkers can't actually micro against these roaches. I mean, there's just too many of them. And it looks like, oh, there's the GG from Oz. And EGIdra throws off that huge counterattack and then punches down the door of Oz. Now let's move on to Game 3 and see who takes this series. Alright everyone, welcome to Game 3 in this series here between EGIdra spawning as the red Zerg in the lower right here on Shakura's Plateau, and his opponent, the blue Protoss FXOz Oz, spawning in the lower left position. So we have the nice close by air position side by side, which is nice because I like this map as they don't have the back door here, which you could use as a lane, and then this way as a lane, so you kind of have it a little bit more focused. But we definitely saw an exciting game too. EGIdra bringing tons of units into the field with all those roaches and all those Zerglings, able to punch down Oz's attack. His Zealot cannon rush we saw on the 3rd base in the first game and in the 2nd game. And then EGIdra, with a huge advantage with all those roaches, was able to just punch down the front door of Oz with just so many roaches, so many Zerglings, was able to take him out. But let's get here on this Game 3 and see if Oz can take the victory, or if EGIdra manages to seal the deal. And it's been interesting to see a lot of these first expand builds from both of these players. It's definitely come a long way where people are a little bit more one-basey, and then now they're starting to get into that fast expand first build. A lot of players are starting to learn how to hold off a lot of early rushes with a fast expansion, which is kind of nice. And it looks like that probe is getting some sneaky round, and it looks like EGIdra doesn't manage to pick off that probe. That probe is not getting taken out. And there goes that spawning pool from EGIdra again, and we'll see if he does go for that base again. Which is, I mean, it's an interesting build to see him go pool first, then hatch, and then gets another hatch again right away, which is a very, very nice build. And it looks like these drones are managing to keep this probe away. Doesn't want to let him live too long. But he is definitely getting a good scouting information. Knows how long he has on that pool. And if we look back home, it looks like he is getting that pylon put up. Probably going to do the old forge gateway. And yep, there he goes again, throwing down that nexus, getting a nice timing on that nexus. And this probe is getting... throws down the pylon block on the hatch. Unable to get anything done. Should definitely use that probe on this drone, get it taken out. But it looks like the pool did just finish, and he is going to want to get that out of there as fast as possible. Delaying that hatchery ever so slightly. And he lets the pylon finish, which means that this hatchery is going to be delayed for incredibly. I mean, EGIdra's got to get the Zerglings out. He's got to get them down there, start working on it. And then he's got to get the hatchery built. So, I mean, EGIdra is definitely going to be falling behind. Oz is going to be able to get quite a bit of stuff built up before EGIdra is even able to get this hatchery up. And, I mean, that's got to hurt. That's definitely... I mean, Zergs can definitely recover from something like that. But it's just, you definitely don't want to start the game behind. I mean, we're only 3.5 minutes in. You're already starting behind. EGIdra's going to have to do some trickery to get back into this game. I mean, he's going to have to do some... He's going to have to do something to get back into this game. Because, and I just hate being behind. I mean, both these players are very nice, high caliber players. And if you start off behind, it's just that much rougher to get back into the game. But it looks like the gateway is just about wrapping up. And it looks like Oz is getting ready to not throw down another building here. I thought he was going to throw down another building right there, but it's like, I mean, I've seen a lot of players do it. He knows that he's in a close position, or the close by air position. We could see a nice airplay from Oz, but it looks like EGIdra does take that third base, which will help him get back into this game, folks. He's getting that base going on, and these Zerglings are looking for those pesky pylons, as I like to call them, pesky pylons, because they're always in your way. And yeah, I mean, these Zerglings are definitely routed to find whatever possible pylons they can. He doesn't want anything sneaking into his base, and I mean, I'd like to see EGIdra even take a fourth base, as he knows his opponent is still working on his tech, doesn't have anything out. I mean, there's that, he gets another scouting probe taken down. It looks like the probe is going to know about that base, so it looks like, I mean, he's probably going to have to deal with another zealot kind of cannon rush, and that +1 is now started up, so it's very similar to what we've seen in all the other games. And I really would like to see EGIdra take another fourth base, just throw down another base. You know your opponent doesn't have that many units out, and especially because he's only building a sentry at home. I mean, that's definitely a clear indication that he's kind of turtling up, wants to work on his macro game. I mean, and it looks like the Zergling's not going to quite get that probe. The cannon's going to chase out the Zerglings. The probe manages to make it out, and another probe is on the way. And it looks like that probe is going out for no Zergling. EGIdra did not see that probe sneak out. Oh, that's so rough. If we would have seen that probe, he could have gotten some damage in. But it looks like this probe is going to get all the way up. He's going to put a pylon up there. That's pretty sneaky. Can definitely sneak it in the back. And there's the pylon in the front, only allowing the one little space right here. Robo Bay going up as well. And that +1 is just about finished. There's that pylon we like to see. EGIdra doing a nice job keeping the watchtowers. Knows what his opponent's doing. I mean, he's got information right here. He's got information in the front. He's got information in the back. EGIdra's just a player full of information. It looks like that probe does, sneaks into the base, does manage to make it in, using the nice mineral pathing trick to get that probe nice and home. And yeah, it looks like Oz is just content to turtle up. He's going to get that warp gate research finished pretty soon. And it looks like that Overlord is not going to make it back home to tell anybody about his scouting adventure. But we do have the Overlord in the main. That one's being chased out as well. More gateways going up for Oz, and EGIdra does know a lot of information for a Zerg player. I mean, he doesn't know about the two gateways right there, but he knows about what he sees in the front. He knows how many gases his opponent's on. So yeah, it's definitely a really boring start to this game so far. I'm not going to lie. Both players relatively even. We do have 50 drones to 50 probes. And it looks like, yeah, they're just kind of hanging out, chilling. Like to see some action in this game, guys. But it looks like walled off in the front, not going to let any Zerglings into the main. I mean, with the one cannon there, you can just shoot units right into the base. And I like the building placement on a lot of these buildings. I mean, he is keeping a lot of this stuff pinned back, so if anything does manage to get into the base, it's going to have a hard time getting around into the main or even into this mineral line. Observer now out on the field, so he wants to know what EGIdra's up to. In-base hatch going up. That's going to be a nice macro hatch. Roaches are on the field. I don't think he's made any roaches yet. He just has the roach, roach warren. So he knows when he can need or does need to build roaches. And here comes that 3 Zealot Cannon Rush push as the Observer does move across. But it looks like no Cannon Rush this time, as there is not a forward probe. But with 2 Queens up here and a lot of drones, I think he'll be able to hold this off quite well. And with it doesn't look like he'll be able to transfuse, but it looks like he's going to be able to do a little bit of micro now. Does want to get one of those Zealots taken out and 2 Zealots taken out. And I don't think he actually lost that much. Now there's a Zergling here to tank some of that damage. And there's a couple of Roaches on the field and a little bit more. And no, that Zealot didn't even get any kills either. So EGIdra able to clean that up really well. Units lost here, 22,975, 8 for 800. And it looks like he did get some Zealots in the main with that Warp Prism, but it looks like he's not able to do that much damage with it, as there is a ton of Roaches that just got made. But the Roaches are being, I mean, they're in the wrong spot. What are you doing, Roaches? Don't watch the battle. Get in there and fight. And EGIdra using some Zerglings and some drones, trying to do as much damage as possible, wants to get as much of that micro as possible. And now with that Observer in the front, there is a Spire on the way, and Oz doesn't know about that. He's going to be getting more Zealots being warped in, and more Zealots getting cleaned up by EGIdra. And I don't know if necessarily if that was the best move on Oz's part. He did lose quite a bit of money on those engagements, but he just basically bought time. I mean, he bought time to get more gateways up. He bought time to get some +2 weapons started. He's getting his blink researched. He knows about the Spire. He knows. I would assume he knows. I mean, he knows about the Spire. I don't know if he knows about this Hydrogen yet that's going up right here. I don't think he knows about that. But yeah, I think he does. The Hydra. I mean, the Zerglings were in the base for quite a. Oh, no, never mind. He doesn't know about it. Pardon my English. And it looks like we do have Zerglings here spotting for a 3rd and a 4th. No, not quite. Lots of Immortals, lots of Zealots, lots of sentries on the field. And it looks like this army may get pinched from behind. Spots the probe, takes the probe down. And those Zerglings are sneaking out. They're running away. He's got to get that Zealot warped in time. It looks like a couple of pot shots here on those Zerglings is able to push them back. And, I mean, he's letting EGIdra take time. I mean, letting those Zerglings run around trying to chase him down. He's just giving EGIdra time to build up an army. 2 Hydralisks coming on their way, +2, or Group Spine, excuse me, that's the Hydralisk range, +2 armor on the way, and that Roach movement speed. So it looks like we are going to be seeing some nifty Roach Hydra action. And it looks like, oh, the Zerglings get picked off there, a couple more Zerglings, but it looks like the Zerglings are just running around trying to play toy with that army, and that pylon is coming up as well. And it looks like these 2 Zerglings are on a happy patrol path, wants to know if there's any 4th base or 5th base going up for Oz. And I'm surprised EGIdra hasn't taken a 4th yet. I mean, he's got the money to. He doesn't really have that much, larva. And I mean, he's sitting at 160 supply. I mean, I'd get that base built. Definitely get to, as many bases as possible going. You want to at least have it built, get a nice defense structure built around it. But it looks like Oz is content to just warp in these units, and I don't really want to see EGIdra fall behind like he did in the last game. Lots of Zerglings coming in, getting a nice surround here with those Zerglings. And the Roaches do get, force fielded off. So EGIdra doing a nice, Oz, doing a nice job with this army. Only having to use a couple of force fields here to hold this army back. But it looks like EGIdra's army is just way too big. But it looks like he's got to engage this army in a better angle. I mean, he doesn't want to lose half of his units. Lots of Hydras and Roaches coming in from behind, though. Oh, taking down a pylon. Nice little blink micro there. Using the Hydras to try to take down as many of those Immortals as possible. 6 Storm, though, taking down a lot of those Hydras and Roaches that were coming in from behind. Now, it looks like a lot of those Hydralisks are pushing forward. Archon being morphed in. More Stalkers coming in as well. And it looks like this base is under a lot of pressure, but Oz is definitely coming out a lot further ahead in this engagement, as those force fields just are no match. I mean, EGIdra's just no match for these force fields. Doing a lot of damage, but we can see some nice blink micro. 101 to 123. Hydra's doing as much damage as possible. Roach is trying to get in, but they can't get forward. Zergling's doing as best of a job as they can, and it looks like those Hydras are now getting taken out. EGIdra's army is forced to retreat as Oz evens the supply. 103 to 103. EGIdra GG's, and that's the game. Right there, folks. EGIdra just picking a really terrible spot to engage this army. I mean, he's trying to go through this little choke or wrap part of his army around. I mean, come on. Hit this base right here. You got the army. Pick it off. Make him come to you. Don't try to bust down a Protoss ball. That's not going to work. All right, we see Oz take this series 2-1. And I'll catch you guys later.